Good evening. You know, earlier this evening while I was in the green room, I was approached and said that there was someone out here that really needed to talk with me and had some information for me, and he had gray hair and a white shirt. Okay, then. I am Susan Phillips Speece, and I'm co-chair of the Anthem Ranch Oil and Gas Education Group. We represent the interests of the folks, many of the folks at Anthem Ranch. And Anthem Ranch is a community of roughly 1,111 semi-customized homes. And when the construction is finished, there should be just under 1,400 houses. But it's important for my comments here for you to understand that Anthem Ranch is an age-restricted group. The community is chronologically enriched. And I would personally guess that the average age is about 70. The residents of Anthem Ranch are highly successful professionals, most of whom have retired. Among our group, we have meteorologists, geologists, petroleum engineers, doctors, lawyers, government regulatory specialists, economists, environmental scientists, educators, and so many more. That's just in our group. And the slide that you have up there right now are the three most impacted communities we've kind of banded together. We formed the Broomfield Coalition of Concerned Neighborhoods. And I would say that I do have a personal vested interest because, well, let's see, is it not going to work tonight? Oh, there we go. Anyhow, my house is up there right on the edge and right in the sweet zone, as it were. So why do we care about gas exploration in our area? This community, all of Broomfield, has a potential to work for a joint resolution, working with communities, working with the corporations, working with environmental concerns. And I hope that together we're going to be able to do this. Anthem Ranch, because we are so chronologically blessed, are more vulnerable to air and water pollutions. We are more like the infants that are at Wildgrass and in Anthem Highlands, where we are more susceptible to pollution in the area. And so we're very careful about what goes on. There is a compendium of science, medical, and media findings demonstrating risks and harms of fracking, edition number 4, that was just released this past November. It reviews more than 100 articles published in professional journals, peer-reviewed journals, on medical and health-related issues related to fracking. This whole area is not new. It is not new to Colorado. It's not new to the United States. Pennsylvania, where I resided for 10 and a half years, is far ahead of Colorado in terms of recognizing the health impacts and the concerns. And we want to learn from those the individuals who have background. Well, the perspective on hydraulic fracturing within our community is a diverse perspective. There have been some surveys conducted within our community, and there was one person out of 550 households that were surveyed that was totally in favor of the fracking process. But most would say, I'm not particularly against the fracking, but doing 29 wells within 700 feet of a number of homes does raise major concerns. And in fact, in a survey prior to just the recent fracking over near Greeley, there have not been any projects of the magnitude that was being proposed initially for the Lowell and the Sheridan Pants that close to residential areas. With initially it was 40 wells on those pads, and we thank you for bringing it down to 29 and 26. But this hasn't been done in high population densities anywhere else in the United States. We'd rather not be the guinea pigs for this process. But there is a way to find out the information necessary to know what's safe and what's not safe. There are places where there aren't high population densities, where there are many, many, many wells being drilled in one small spot. Why not do the air quality analysis in those areas and find out what the safe setback is? The 500-foot setback for homes was an arbitrary decision. It was not based, I believe you'll agree with that, Matt, that it wasn't based on scientific evidence. It was an arbitrary decision for 500 feet. But the assumption was one well near one house. We're kind of more than one well. What happens when you have more than one well? What happens when you have more than one house? So we need to know what's going to be happening. So my role is to tell you what we require, the communities. What do we want to have happened? And the first thing is that we want the city and COGCC to take all measures within their powers and enforcement authorities to protect the Anthem Ranch community and other Broomfield residents' communities from detrimental effects of oil and gas development, particularly large-scale industrial residential drilling and the production of oil and gas. We also would like for the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, as the primary oil and gas regulatory authority in the state of Colorado, to establish detailed, legally binding written requirements to secure the following outcomes. And I want to go back to Anne Marie's statement that the mandate for COGCC is, the mission is to foster the responsible development of Colorado's oil and gas natural resources in a manner consistent with the protection of public health, safety, and welfare. Protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. That's all we're looking for. We don't deny extraction the ability to make money, but not at the cost of our health. So, extraction, I want to tell you, Eric, here's your chance to be a star. Here's your chance to actually do it right, because we are being watched within the state and actually within the nation. How do we get past an apparent impasse between what we expect and what they expect? So, Eric, you said we will get this right. We will do it safely. And I'm going to hold you to that. So, we have sent to the City Council, City and County Council, a list of areas that we want to have addressed. And actually, our HOA has sent a similar list, which I think you may have seen that today. It came out just today. So number one, the pad selection will be based on the state requirement of an alternative location analysis. You've said you've done it. Nobody's seen it. We want to see proof that you've put those wells as far away safely as can be done. We want a commitment to a specific number of wells, and I think we're getting there. We hope that that falls into the health and safety factors that apply to our community. Number three, when you are making your commitment to install the pipelines and to have a closed loop system and a tankless system, it has to be done without caveats for economic feasibility. It just has to happen. Number 4, while you say you're going to capture 99.9%, VOCs run a very, very broad spectrum of toxicity. And so when you're measuring the toxicity at a brewing plant or in a community, they are different VOCs than that which is being emitted from a oil and gas extraction project. And that's a very important factor. So we want to monitor what gases are coming off of that, what's the water, what's the traffic issues. But in order to know whether that's relevant or not, you need the baseline data. So we need to have some baseline studies. And that's good for extraction, and that's good for the community, because we may be wrong. And extraction will be able to say, see, we didn't do that. So I think it will be for everybody's benefit. Number 5. Number 5 was on the other page, that's all right. We want to maintain what you said you're going to be doing, and that is having good management practices as new technology is developed, using that on the site so that it's at the forefront of what's being done. You're going to be the model, so be a good model. Number 6, same conditions and mitigations that would be applied to a large urban area would apply to our area. Number 7, provide analyses that prove the safety of the project, including but not limited to minimum avoidance distances for the drilling near existing wells and coal mines. So you don't want any flowback once you start fracking. You want all those areas capped, and you want to avoid getting near them because you don't want that stuff coming back through those wells. Our emergency preparedness, there is actually a plan in place by the North Metro Fire Rescue District, but we want to make sure that it is adequate to address the potential that might take place, as took place with the Anadarko accident recently. Number 9, we would like to require that extraction secure adequate bonding and insurance to cover all requirements and contingencies included but not limited to blowouts, explosions, fires, spills, and reclamation. The money's got to be set aside to cover those eventualities. And number 10, install enhanced landscaping fencing, which you've said you're going to do, but we're going to hold you to it. And we're going to ask the city not to sell them more land on the Lowell site. They can landscape Broomfield property. Rather than selling them more land, just let them landscape on our property. And 11, there should be a long-range plan for what are you going to do with all of these wells for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? How are you going to manage that? And this is all setting the stage for the Broomfield Comprehensive Plan for the oil and gas addendum. And as Anne Marie had said previously, we want that addendum to be scientifically based. We want it to be based on data, on expert consultation. The health data is available across the country. It has been written about for the last decade or more. So we want to encourage the Colorado Department of Health to pay attention to many of those publications that have happened outside of Colorado. And finally, the data requested from extraction, when provided, will expedite this entire process, which is good for extraction and is good for us as well, because we want to get this comprehensive plan completed as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.